So here we go.
All right.
So a little brief introduction. This is my name is Joe Little. This is my good friend Lamar Costin. Say
Hello.
hi. Yep. And we have a podcast that doesn't quite have a name yet.
We're going to make it up as we go. And
Yeah.
we just figured out how to use the microphones.
Yeah. So we basically just became professional podcasters.
Yeah. So we're pretty much excellent so far at what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're all about sound quality here.
Sound quality.
It's all about good sound quality because, we're not actually that interesting of people when it comes down to
But the
our
sound
core.
is going to be really good.
Yeah, the sound's going to be amazing.
We're going to do some ASMR sections, and we're just going to crinkle our hands in some bags of chips at some point.
Yeah.
For several minutes to maybe a whole episode. I don't know.
Well, and we did have a discussion about having an entire episode that was just room noise, too.
Right. Getting room levels.
Yeah.
It's really important when you're a professional.
Yeah, I mean, you could turn on, like, the little heater that we had on earlier with a little fan that was running, you know?
You like fan sounds?
Yeah.
You might like this podcast.
Welcome to the Fan Sounds Podcast. Well, it's kind of like leads me into a good segue here. I mean, I feel like we should talk about a potential podcast name a little bit while we're here.
Yeah, we do need to come up with a name.
Yeah.
By the time people are hearing this one, I guess we already have an awesome name.
Yeah.
Right now we have
no name.
We have some ideas, but they're actually just band name ideas.
Well, I mean, I feel like eventually there will be enough people that listen to our podcast that this will just be like a secret episode that we charge people like $20 to listen to.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. At least
Well,
$20.
I mean, you already like us. Just pay $20 and
you already love us.
you can listen to us more.
Yeah. Once a week isn't enough, you know.
But yeah. Well, okay, so the first one was the one that we just discussed a minute ago was the potty.
Right. That's a good name.
Yeah. But it turns out it's been used.
Yeah, some ex-professional basketball player apparently is a genius also.
An ex-professional basketball player. What was the thing on that? What, can you pull that up on your phone?
He was a ex-professional basketball player turned comedian of some sort.
Yeah, what was his name, though?
Let's see here. The potty.
Maybe we should write him a letter.
His name is
Or an
Claybrin McMath.
That sounds made up.
Claybrin McMath.
Claybrin McMath. What team? What team did he play for?
He plays both sides. No, it doesn't actually say. So
Yeah.
he's probably making the whole thing up.
Claybrin McMath.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's real or not.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he's not like a real person, then the potty, that's
Right.
fair game, right?
I think so. I mean, I don't know how.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask our standby lawyers to look into that.
I think, yeah, man, there's just so many ways that you could take that name. I'm not ready to let go of it.
Well, this is a very new thing. I would expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've emotionally attached to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and we had another list of names that you also had saved on your phone.
Yeah, well, we have a running list of potential band names.
What are some standouts to you?
Muffled Moms was kind of a newer one that
Muffled Moms. That's
I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
I personally liked. I had this idea. I think I was at my house when I had this initial idea of binary nominalism.
Binary nominalism.
Because I heard the word nominalist or nominalism, and I looked it up, and I've already forgotten what it means. But the ring of it is perfect.
Yeah.
Who cares about meanings?
What necessarily does binary nominalism mean? Like, what does that mean to you?
I was thinking like techno,
Yeah.
but like have it be like kind of philosophical in some way.
Yeah.
But then we spiraled.
So
that-
kind of like binary code, but also kind of like philosophy,
Yeah.
a way of living, I guess you could say.
It's like an art form,
Yeah.
you know. We turned that into Binary Mary and the Nominal Canary, which I think is pretty brilliant. Could be. It's a long name for a podcast.
Binary Mary and the Nominal Canary.
It's a good one.
Neither of us are named Mary.
But it could be about her or in the spirit of her.
Yeah, yeah.
I think another one I really liked that we had was Smort Dork and the Rural Corys. That's
Smort Dork.
That's SMORT.
I thought that was SMOURT.
Oh, you're right.
Smort Dork.
Smort Dork.
And Dork was DOURK.
Just a traditional dork spelling.
I feel like that's too complicated. Though I do really like the name.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, we've got quite a few good band names on here, but they really mostly were designed as bands, so I'm not sure
exactly.
if they didn't quite.
I mean, Smort Dork podcast.
Smort. Just Smort. Welcome to Smort.
Welcome to Smort.
Smort and the Rural Corys. Rural Cory.
I'm still not going to be able to get over Smort Dork and the Rural Corys. Rural Corys.
Rural? Yeah.
Why does that have to be such a hard word to say?
I don't know.
Whereas urban, like a toddler could say urban.
Urban.
But rural.
Rural.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That'd be a terrible idea for a podcast name, though.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to use the word rural anywhere in a podcast name.
Yeah, it'll come to us.
Well, like, the one that I had a little bit today was meat honks.
Mm-hmm. I like meat honks.
Yeah, like, because, like, you think, like, you know, I'm eating meat, like I'm eating a hunk of meat. Mm-hmm. But what if it's a honk?
It's like one honk, like a big honk.
Yeah. Like, when you're getting, you know, fresh meat at the butcher shop and they put it on the scale, they'd be like, oh, it's about 4 honks of meat. Mm-hmm. That's going to come to about $45.
4 honks is going to cost about that much. That's the way it is right now.
We should walk into a butcher shop one of these days and be like, how much for 4 honks of meat?
I'm serving about, 14 people. How many honks do you think I need?
You got a party about 18 coming over. How many honks of meat you think I'm going to need? You're going to be like, pounds? No, honks. Honks.
Honks.
I want to know how many honks. How many honks am I going to need?
Right,
do the hand gesture.
You got to make some kind of,
Put your hands about shoulder width apart and go honks.
Yeah,
Honks
make it very
of meat.
abstract kind of gang sign, related hand gestures at the guy. As you say honks.
He's definitely going to understand exactly what I'm talking about when I say honks.
Yeah.
If I just say honks, he's not going to get it. But if I make the hand gesture, then he'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how they do it.
Yeah.
Professionals, I would imagine.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to keep our eyes to the ground on that one.
Yeah.
Until something pops in. I feel like we're just gonna run across it, hopefully, or it'll just kind of come to us in a dream.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's really nice to just have the equipment here. We figured out the alternate lighting situation.
Yeah, we don't have the fluorescent light anymore. We've got some ambiance happening in here.
Yeah, we have a
good room sound.
Oh, yep. We have the picture from McDonald's.
We have the McDonald's photograph of the men fighting over a football.
Yeah,
piled on top of each other in a homoerotic and loving kind of college vibe.
Well, and we named each one of them at some point.
Was there a Corey in there?
Corey was the bottom.
Corey's on the bottom, and he looks like he's in terrible pain. He's being crushed by 2 other men who are fully grown men.
Well, and
muscled as well.
I believe the one on the top we were going to call Pat.
Pat has a very big smile on his face, and he actually has his hand on top of Corey's hand,
yeah.
both on top of the football.
Yeah, and under him was Dave.
And Dave is the Asian guy, and he's having a good time, but he's not winning, but he's just happy to be sandwiched between these 2 other men.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think that, like, what's going on with this, like, picture, which if we ever post this episode, we're going to have to put, like, a picture on our Instagram so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, the picture
so they can listen along.
Giving us so much pleasure just gazing at it and enjoying.
Exactly.
There's so much depth there.
But my working theory of it is that Pat and Dave, the 2 guys on the top, they're already out of the closet. They're in a relationship together. They've been happy for several years.
Okay.
And Corey is a young man who's not out yet.
Right.
But Pat and Dave, they're good members of the community. They're going to hang out with this guy.
Well, they're out playing football. You mean out in a sexual manner?
Yeah, they're out in a sexual manner.
We're
as well.
homosexuals.
And they also like to play football.
They've admitted it to themselves and to their people, except for...
Well, and they've been happily together for several years. Everybody knows this about Pat and Dave.
Okay.
But Corey is somebody that recently came into their lives.
Corey's the new guy.
Who's not really out yet. Like, he's out to Pat and Dave, you know?
Okay.
Like, he's already told them, but, like, he hasn't told, like, his dad yet.
Right.
You know, he's got a boyfriend, but he's still kind of ashamed.
This is somewhere in the South, I'm imagining.
Yeah, definitely in the South. But that's why the photo has such significance, because Corey is the bottom of the photo and he's struggling.
He does not look happy. His vein is bulging out of his head, and he's got a pained
football.
face.
The football is a metaphor for where he's at in his life. You know.
Okay.
But I mean, that's my working theory of the photo. I don't know.
Grabbing it, right?
Yeah, I don't know. If I look at it for a long time, that's what I end up thinking.
Well,
what do you think? What do you think is going on with that picture?
I haven't been able to figure out why this was originally inside a McDonald's.
Yeah.
There's one thing that has always...
That's the major...
Because as an art piece of itself, you know, there's so many different ways you can look at it. It's a hilarious photo if you just look at it from, you know, somebody who's just glancing, you know, walking by looking at it. But when you think like that was in a McDonald's, it's like, why, if you were hired to work for McDonald's, what would be the key that you see in that photo that you're like, I need to have this? Because it was probably like a stock photo. I don't imagine that the McDonald's people had a photo shoot and hired these people.
Yeah, there had to be like some McDonald's manager or somebody in corporate that was like, yes, this photo needs to be on the wall of this McDonald's.
What if it's a real photo of one of the managers? Do you think it could be actually McDonald's employees?
I doubt it. Because I think, you know, McDonald's, they're like a multi-billion-dollar corporation, so they're going to pay...
Yeah, they can afford to...
some attractive models to, you know, go wrestle around and play some football for them.
Yeah,
but true. I don't know. There's a possibility there.
It's a question we may never know the answer to, unless one of our listeners can help us figure out the story to this. I'm generally curious.
Yeah, exactly.
About it. But
I'm generally curious. I mean, perhaps we could spark some interest with this podcast, and somebody might want to look into it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Although this was in a McDonald's. We did not remove it from the McDonald's.
Yeah, we did not remove it from the McDonald's.
So yeah.
Yeah, we had a good buddy. His name was Reese. He lived in Olympia, Washington, and this dude he was a friend of mine for many, many years, and he also, when Lamar and I were in our old band Hairfire, he gave us the best live show we'd ever played.
Epic.
Like, it was epic.
Yeah.
The only mosh pit we ever had at a Hairfire show was at the show that Reese booked for us.
Yeah.
Man.
Cops came twice.
The cops came twice. They came halfway through our set.
I'm pretty sure we saw a UFO that night too. Although my cell phone didn't capture it for some reason.
Yeah. My favorite part was the cops showed up halfway through our set and we just kept playing.
We had the garage door closed so they couldn't do anything.
And then they came again, and that's what shut down the second band.
Yeah, we opened for this awesome band, and they never got to play.
They played like 2.5 songs and got shut down because we had already gotten the cops called.
That was the good old days where you might have gotten away with it, so we didn't even think to turn down at all. We were just like, well, now that we're a little bit older and wiser, we might have been like, we really want to hear this other band. Maybe we'll turn it down a little bit.
I remember us both looking at Reese being like, should we turn it down or what should we do? He's like, no, just go. Just party, man.
Just party, dude.
The time when you kicked the tile off of his kitchen floor.
Yeah, the tile was like totally free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, don't worry about it. So he just grabs one off of the top of his washer dryer and throws it where the other one was. Oh, I've got replacements.
Oh, that's right. I remember there was a big crack in it. He was like, oh, no. Just had a big stack of them hanging. Just
no, those are just around.
Yeah, that was awesome. So he had this photograph of these guys.
Yeah.
In his room as we were finishing a keg at like 5 a.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just remember staring at that. We were just laughing for a good half hour before we even started asking these questions about it. Just enjoying the glory of it.
Yeah, exactly. But it was Reese. Reese was the one who was obsessed with the photo while it was in the McDonald's.
That's right. Yeah,
he one day finally decided to storm the McDonald's, one man army.
Run up on it.
Nobody knew what he was going for. Everybody's just trying to do their jobs or eat their McDouble. He just grabs it off the wall and runs right back out the front door.
Right.
And now it's on the wall of my garage.
Yeah, so we came back because I left my drum there, and we came back to Olympia.
Yeah.
And I saw it again, and I was like, dude, I need to have this. And Reese was like, it's not for sale, bro. I was like, dude, come on, how much? He was like, it's going to cost you, man. I was like, I'm willing to pay you, I didn't say how much money, but I was like, I'm willing to pay for this thing.
Yeah.
He was like, $20. I was like, instantly.
Sold.
So I just grabbed the cash on my wallet. I was like, you're an idiot. You're
Yeah.
a fool. You're a fool. I'm a rich man now because of this.
Then
painting.
immediately after, we all went to like a Safeway or something. He got like an 18-pack of Busch Light.
Yeah.
And we had like a few beers with him before we took off. It was so funny, man.
Yeah.
He was such a freaking character, man.
Yeah, so it remains a mystery.
Yeah. No, so we're going to have to definitely post that on the Instagram.
At the very least, get some other people's opinions on what's going on here, what the history might be of these guys.
Even if we're just sitting here free associating about what it might be, we might as well,
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to take away the enjoyment.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
I dare you to try.
Well, here's the next tidbit. Have you made any cram sandwiches lately?
Cram sandwich. I haven't made a cram sandwich you define a cram sandwich as more of like a noun. In general, for me, cram sandwich is really.
Well, I know you've cram sandwiched recently. You do have a
I'm
bag of
cramming sandwich
Flamin'
right now,
Hot.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you got a bag of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Well, maybe you can
Those are-
reiterate for the listener how cram sandwich is a verb.
So cram sandwich is basically any food that you eat really quickly, or that you can grab and go with it. So it's like, so like, for example, before I came over here today, I cram sandwich, and for me that meant I made a kale and Brussels sprout kind of thing with some sardines in there.
Nice.
And a little bit of avocado. So I crammed sandwich before I came. That meant that meal that I made, which technically really wasn't like a quick meal per se, but cram sandwich can also just mean like I ate food.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be like, I'm really hungry. I need a cram sandwich real quick.
Yeah.
That could be it could be ideally going to a fast food place or just grabbing a bunch of ingredients and throwing them together in something and eating them. Could be, but it could also be a meal. Like, traditional meal, I should say.
Yeah. So like when you're eating Taco Bell, you're kind of technically eating a cram sandwich.
Yeah.
But when you're in a rush to get to the Taco Bell, you're cram sandwiching.
Well, I think you're cram sandwiching when you're actually eating the food.
Okay.
So it's got to be.
So
right,
it's only when it's in the
right
past
there.
tense, like I cram sandwiched.
It's
earlier.
hard to say I'm cramming sandwich. You could say I'm cramming sandwich
I'm
right now.
cramming sandwich. Yeah.
I'm about to cram sandwich.
I'm about to cram sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, like I'm full. I just cram sandwich.
What about sardines? Does sardines qualify?
Oh
as part of a cram sandwich?
Absolutely.
Is that just because you like open it in the special little tin that it comes in and just throw it on whatever? Or?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the faster it is to eat the food, the more it qualifies as a cram sandwich.
Yeah.
Basically. So sardines, absolutely. You could eat those by themselves.
Yeah.
If you're hungry.
Well, and we also had a
tuna.
discussion about pre-cooking. It's like, our sardines. I'm sorry, I'm ignorant to sardine knowledge.
I can
Sardine culture, I guess you could say. Are they cooked at all before they're canned, or do they just kind of throw them in a can?
I actually don't know. I was gonna say I'm gonna enlighten you with
Yeah.
my knowledge, but I actually maybe don't know any more than you do about it.
Yeah,
I think they're brined or something.
they're brined.
They're not brined though, because they're pretty salty, but I think that might be natural.
Yeah,
I was thinking about this. The theme for the podcast is certainly not going to be like, we can talk a lot about nothing.
yeah,
We do that all the time, but I don't know how educational it's going to be in terms of, like, we would have to look this up,
yeah.
and then maybe the listener would know. But most of the time, the listener probably already knows the answers that we don't know.
No, I mean, this is why we eventually need to have guests, right?
Yeah,
Because they're going to bring like their own flavor and style and attitude to
and the
it.
brains,
Yeah, exactly.
because we're obviously the brawn.
Yeah,
We're quite muscled.
we're definitely the brawn.
Yeah,
I mean, we're sitting right next to a squat rack in here.
yeah.
For anybody
sitting-
who hasn't seen, well, once we get the lighting dialed in here,
We're in the gym right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're doing GAM blasters, 4x6ers,
Yep.
a salamander handstands.
We got to take the bikes off of the wall to even fit in here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm about $160. Just all muscle.
all muscle.
I know you can't really see that, but
Yeah, I'm $180, more muscle. So
that's a little more muscle.
that's a little bit more muscle. I got some belly flab going on here too, but
Yeah.
that's just kind of a part of getting older, I guess.
That and cram sandwiching.
That and cram sandwiching. You know, I've been trying to do a diet thing lately, but this last week,
Yeah.
I just have not been doing it. Because
It's tough.
well, the thing is, I'm also trying to do a workout like regimen that's like supposed to make me faster on a bicycle.
Okay.
And the only way you get faster on a bicycle is by, basically torturing yourself.
That's most diets, I think, right?
Well, yeah,
Form of
most
torture.
diets and workout programs, because you got to push your muscles further than they've gone before for them to be able to grow, and then you got to recover, right? I mean, it makes
Right.
sense. But as the workout plan was getting harder, like I was still trying to do the same amount of fasting, and it just didn't work because I was burning way more calories because I was working out harder. And then it was like,
Oh, right.
I just need to eat. I'm just going to eat food right now.
Sometimes you got to do that,
Yeah.
you know?
Sometimes you have to cram sandwich.
Sometimes you just got to cram sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be the middle of the night.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think that happens a lot, actually.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite things about physical activities is it makes the snacks afterwards that much better.
That's true. That and getting high, I guess,
Yeah.
makes snacking way more
Getting
enjoyable.
Getting high is kind of the easy way to do it, though.
Yeah, a little shortcut.
I mean, do you have any physical activities you like to do before you eat that make eating more enjoyable?
I don't think I do
You can
right
think
now,
of-
although I will say when I do go for hikes and stuff, I'll be like, I'll eat kind of light before I go, and then on the
Yeah.
way back from that hike, maybe like a couple hours later, I'll
Yeah.
be like, man, I'm actually excited to like eat some food. Normally, for me, it's just kind of something I do.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to eat food because you got to live. So
Something
it's
you're
one of those
doing to
things.
sustain yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. To survive, you have to eat food.
Yeah.
So.
No, I did that for a while. When I first moved to Portland, I used to go on tons of hikes in Forest Park, and I would always go out and I would just be lost in the woods for like 5 hours by myself. I just did that shit all the time.
Oh yeah.
But like every single time I went back from Forest Park, I would drive across the St. John's Bridge, and there's that Burgerville right there. That was like the only times I ever bought Burgerville.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Because they are pretty good. They're
It's
so effing expensive.
It's expensive for what you're getting, but it's
This
also,
podcast brought to you by Burgerville. Use code Joe and Lamar 20 to get 20% off your next burger at Burgerville.
God, they're so expensive.
Thanks, Burgerville. Thanks, Joe and Lamar, for getting me 20% off at Burgerville.
We somehow still get promotional burgers from these people, even though we just make fun of them.
That should be one of our first corporate inquiries. Hey, Burgerville, do you want to sponsor our podcast?
Can you give them a discount code so that the burgers are actually affordable? Because they are pretty good, but
We want our listeners to eat your burgers. We just want you to make them affordable first.
I think that's a good way to leverage against the company. We got to fight the good fight,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That might be the way.
That's a good direction to take this, I think.
Yeah.
A corporate battle with Burgerville.
Yeah, what would that entail?
Should we pick it? Like, we should get a group of people with signs and just like protest how Burgerville is too expensive.
That could be. Are you trying to say we could go viral with and get our listenership
holding
through
big signs that say these burgers are too damn expensive,
but they're tasty. In parentheses,
tasty.
I'm angry, but I'm full, but I'm poor.
I'm full, but I'm poor.
It's just an empty wallet and a big full belly.
And a Burgerville logo right
I'm sad because I can't afford these really tasty burgers. They're 20% cheaper.
They were 20% cheaper.
If only somebody
afford them.
If only some podcast duo would come say, do something about this.
If only some podcast.
Come help us.
I wish some geniuses living in Portland, Oregon would just come and help us out real quick.
Wish they'd buy some really expensive gear for a podcast they don't even have a name for yet.
I think that's a good idea.
Fix this.
I think we should put that in the memory bank, man.
Put it on there. We'll run it by our lawyer team.
Yeah.
Our legal
Okay,
team.
so we're going to write this down. Protest. How Burgerville's
Burgers, while tasty,
yeah,
comma, are 20% too expensive.
Burgerville's burgers, while tasty.
Crunch these numbers. I mean, you're talking about if you're buying a $12 burger, you know, I don't know how much they are. I think it's like $10.
Yeah.
Make it $8. You know, are you going to be
expensive?
Are the CEOs of this burger city going to be like hurting that much? 20%.
What was the other one we came up with? The drawing with Corey at the bottom,
right?
With Pat, Dave, and Corey.
Pat, Dave, and Corey.
Pat, Dave, Corey. This is the only note I'm going to put down on. Is like, what is the story? You know,
what's the deal?
What is the deal with toothpaste? I don't know, man. Who were the ad wizards that came up with this one? Should we try and get Jerry Seinfeld on the podcast?
Let's save him for like episode 5 or something like that.
Save him for a little.
We want to be real seasoned by the time
later in the series.
Save him for later in the season. Yeah, we'll have our friends on, and we'll have Jerry Seinfeld on.
Get like Brendan and Claire, and we'll get Charlie on here and Cove, and then we'll have Jackie, and then Jerry Seinfeld. Oh, here comes Jerry.
I remember that one podcast with Jerry. Jerry Seinfeld? Yeah, he was on our.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We wanted to be on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, but we just didn't have the time. We're just too busy. So
yeah. So we just did an hour and a half with them. It was no big deal.
We just did an hour and a half with him on our podcast. He told us he could schedule it in, so we were like, okay, Jerry.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I guess I'll find a sitter.
I guess we're living in your world now. We'll work around you, Jerry. No, but we do need to have some celebs on.
Yeah.
We were talking about getting Dr. Dog on here.
Yeah, Dr. Dog.
Tables.
I feel like
Taxi.
we should aim for some local heroes, man. We should try and get like Mike Capes on here.
Mike Capes would be dope to have.
Mike Capes would be an awesome guest.
St. John's. Broadcasting from St. John's.
Charlie Maniaci. I would love to have Charlie Maniaci. I guess he's not necessarily like a local celebrity, but
he kind of is. I think he is.
He's a strange and interesting dude. I would love to sit and chat with him for an hour or two.
Local artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know a lot of people that I think would be good guests.
Brendan, Claire, as individuals, they would both be very fascinating guests.
Yeah.
I would like to have them on. I want to interview Sarah.
Yep.
But I don't, Do
you think we could interview your son?
We could. We could. I don't think he's going to necessarily understand if there's any kind of audience.
Right.
And he's probably going to get way too close to the mic and shout in it a lot too.
Could be good.
So, I mean, it could be good for a 30-second tidbit.
Yeah, it'll be a short interview.
Yeah. He doesn't have much attention span.
Right. These kids these days.
He's not really well versed on a lot of subjects yet.
What kind of podcast is he listening to right now?
He listens to the podcast
What kind of
his dad listens to, and his dad makes him listen to podcasts.
kind of economical journals is he reading right now?
Yeah. Actually, you know what? You gave me a weird, interesting thought. What is your favorite time to listen to podcasts?
Oh, well, I actually, when I am exercising, sometimes I like to have some podcasts going. Usually when it's really boring stuff. But also, the only other time I do listen to podcasts, which is the only time right now I'm listening to podcasts, is when I'm driving to and from work.
Yeah.
Constantly. And I've been listening to Oh Yeah Dude for several years now, but I'm in their back catalog now.
I've never listened to that.
It's a good one. I mean, there's so many out there, but these guys are just two dudes, and they talk about nothing also, but they also do a little bit of topical stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just more about their personalities, really, than what they're talking about. They do kind of voices and stuff, and you get into it. But
well, that's always been my favorite thing about podcasts. I feel like podcasts should sound like fun and welcoming. Yeah. Just because, like, if I'm sitting in my car and I'm doing a long drive, especially if you're by yourself, you feel like you got a couple of friends there that are just chatting.
Yeah, you're in on the conversation a little bit.
Yeah, and you're not part of the conversation, but you're in on it.
Right.
But then it's weird, when COVID-19 happened and suddenly I didn't have a commute to work anymore and I was just working from home, I didn't listen to podcasts for like months.
Yeah, you like to be moving almost. It feels like something you do when you're like moving through space.
Well, see, and that's when I started listening to podcasts when I was exercising, because it's like there's no other time,
Books on tape, or I guess they're audiobooks now, as kids call them, are pretty fun when you're like exercising too, as long as it's like a mindless thing,
I would love to do that. I would love to, this might sound crazy, but I would love to write a book verbally and not have a single print version of it out there.
Huh.
You know why? Is because I don't think that it would affect your sales as an author at all.
What do you mean?
Well, like in 2020, who's really sitting down and reading like a paperback copy
if it's just audio, yeah.
I feel like most people just listen to audiobooks.
Right.
You might even be more popular for only having your book on audiobook. I'm writing that on the notes.
Put that one down.
Yeah, because we're going to have to ask Charlie about that one.
That makes me think of like the Queen's Gambit for some reason, because that was like, but that was a book. But I guess I'm thinking of like, what is it? There was a movie that I saw recently, or a series that I saw that I thought was based on a book, but it was actually just its own thing.
Would having a book only in audio version affect book sales?
Get some experts on that.
Yeah.
Talk to the Westerman, the journeyman.
Yeah. I just did insurance for Charlie and for his brother the other day.
They're all good to go?
Yeah. I set him up with a dope-ass little plan like you have.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. They got that cost-sharing reduction action, which I don't want to explain that on this podcast because I explain it to people all day long in my job. So...
Let's talk about health insurance.
Yeah, let's talk about
for the next 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. That's because that's what I love to do.
Yeah.
It's not just my job, it's my pastime.
On and off the canvas.
Yeah.
You talk about it.
But audiobook, have you listened to any good audiobooks lately?
I was trying to remember the one that that was a good one.
I was.
Some really good clarity on that one.
Really good clarity right there.
There's a book that I read that my memory is really bad about titles and things.
Yeah.
But it's a really famous book. I can't remember the author's name either. But it's about it's about
You're not helping at all.
It's about the Dust Bowl. I think it was the same author that did War and Peace.
It's not Woody Guthrie with the dust and the dusty dust.
Woody Guthrie did not write this book that I'm talking about, I don't think.
Well, he wrote a lot of things about the Dust Bowl.
It's about the South, and they had to like move towns, and everybody was looking for jobs, and they were basically being like entering slave labor and competing against other people to like make a couple pennies, and nobody had a place to live. Anything?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a green in there. Green Gables.
Is that Green Gables? That sounds familiar to me. Is it Anne of Green? We got to figure this out.
This is what I think will drive our listeners nuts, because like people, I feel like most people already know this, even if they haven't read the book. They'll be like,
Anne of Green Gables.
"It's definitely not that."
A Canadian television show.
This is.
I'm sorry, Lamar, but a Canadian television show is not a book. I know it's Canadian, but it's not a book.
Oh man, it wasn't War and Peace either. I got both parts of that wrong. Or was it Tolstoy? Was a different guy. He didn't write a book about the American South, did he?
Did Tolstoy write about the American South?
In
I'm
the
just
60s.
curious.
Okay. Unless he was what do you call it? A soothsayer. I don't think it was him. Man.
No, you can't remember, huh?
It's
not even like saved in your phone.
I think I switched phones since then.
You're switching phones like every 2 months.
Yeah, I just throw them away when the battery dies. They're burners.
Or burners.
Yeah, I can't remember. But I did listen to that as an audiobook.
Yeah.
When I was doing like physical therapy for my
Yeah.
leg or whatever. So
Totally.
it was pretty good though.
I've never gotten into audiobooks
They did
for
it
some reason.
In the accent too. They had. I think it's really important they have a good voice actor. For those things.
Yeah.
This one was pretty good. Did like the mom voice and like the grandma. It was a dude, but he was like, "Oh, hey," like kind of like had like put on a woman like voice.
Oh,
with
really?
a southern accent. It was pretty
So
good.
they like acted out the voices of each character then.
Yep.
Interesting.
It was pretty sweet. And then when he went into like the narrator's voice, it was like, I guess maybe more like his voice or something.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool.
That's crazy, man.
That's got to be the hardest part, I think, for a voice actor.
Yeah.
To be consistent with all those characters too, because sometimes they don't say the names, so you have to kind of like guess who's doing that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, pretty neat.
So it wasn't like one of those lame ass like one man shows where
It was a one-man show.
it's just one guy acting out each voice.
Yeah.
So it was.
Yeah, it was a lame ass.
It was
One
one
man.
lame ass guy.
But he was really good at it.
I'm really bummed you don't know the name of the
I should. It
audio
was a
book.
really good book too. I mean,
So this is kind
a-
of a social commentary a little bit.
it's a very famous author.
If you had a hardback copy of that
From
book,
it was like set in the 30s, I think,
Yeah.
or the 20s.
if you had a hardback copy of that book with the author's name on it and the name of it in front of you, you would know what the name of that book was. But since it was an audiobook,
I just remembered it, but I might remember it wrong.
well, it's definitely not Anne of Green Gables.
I was close, though.
The Canadian television. I don't even think you were
right.
close. We still don't know the name.
I'm gonna look this up before I say it. I've already proven to have not only no memory, but suggesting Leo Tolstoy wrote a book about the American 60s or 30s or whatever. Now it's the 60s. I don't even know what.
Tolstoy wrote a book about the American South
He wrote a book about Woodstock.
during the Dust Bowl. He wrote a book about Woodstock too. I heard Bukowski wrote a book about the early 2000s.
All right. I hope
If you love Barry Manilow, you sure are gonna love Korn.
here's the funny thing. Okay, I had to look this up, but I found it. I was gonna say Leaves of Grass, which makes absolutely no sense. The book is The Grapes of Wrath.
It's like, what the fuck?
Do you see how my brain works?
Steinbeck.
Yeah, Steinbeck, the
Steinbeck
famous Russian author that wrote about.
leaves the famous Russian author John Steinbeck.
That's a great audiobook. Leaves of Grass, everybody.
I read Grapes of Wrath in high school.
Green Gables. by Leo Tolstoy.
I should have known that. I'm kicking myself now a little bit.
Yeah, I think John Steinbeck also wrote War and Peace in 1870. Well,
He wrote War.
that took quite a while to get out there, but it is worth checking out.
Definitely.
That's the only audiobook I think I've ever heard.
If any of you listeners out there have never heard of Grapes of Wrath, go ahead and
Just found out about this cool new book.
Hey guys, I heard about this cool new book. It's called Grapes of Wrath. It's this new author,
Leo Tolstoy.
Leo Tolstoy. He's this Russian guy.
He's up and coming. I
who
think
wrote
he's going to be
books
something.
about the American South.
I think he's really going to be something.
So weird, right?
Yeah. Crazy times, Corona, hashtag 2020 is weird.
At least we got John Steinbeck out of 2020. If you got nothing else, at least you got John Steinbeck.
Worth checking out.
Yeah, it's definitely worth
Apparently, it
checking
has another really long book, like a much longer book that I also can't remember the name of.
out. A longer book than Grapes of Wrath?
Yeah, I think so.
John Steinbeck.
No, I'm thinking of War and Peace.
Okay.
Yeah, I had that. I had that book in my library too, but I tried to listen to it and it was quite bad.
Yeah.
I think it might just be too dated, or the voice actor just wasn't very convincing.
Probably just because it's dated, man.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I mean, honestly, I feel like it's great to be able to brag that, like, hey, I read all of War and Peace or whatever.
Yeah. Or I
But-
heard all of War and Peace.
Yeah. But, like, is it really that important to your education to, like, know the story of War and Peace? You know?
No, I don't know because I haven't read it.
Yeah. I haven't read it either, I guess. But I've also had, really long books that I've read, and I don't feel like that furthered my education. Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah.
I read that in high school. I don't feel like it made me any smarter. I mean, do you feel like listening to Grapes of Wrath on audiobook made you any smarter, or?
Actually, what struck me about that book was more of the emotional aspects of it, and that maybe came through more with the voice acting.
Yeah.
But the situation that the dad was in and the mom was in while having these kids and trying to figure out like how they were going to feed them and stuff, it really struck me as being like, wow, this is really crazy that they're in this situation, and how relevant it is to today too, with like the economy and stuff. And people are like, basically the farm owners were just taking advantage of the situation and paying everybody nothing, like next to nothing to do all this work, and left the people to be like rats and you know, just fight each other. And there was this whole other thing that happened because of that.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what's happening today too. It's just like,
Yeah.
the workers are, left to fend for themselves.
Well, yeah, and that's a byproduct of capitalism a little bit, You get people that take advantage of the situation, and
A little bit. Yeah.
they're like, oh, well, I have the money, so I can make all these people do fucking things that they don't want to do
Well, I
because I
think
have the money.
When people are really desperate, they're going to do anything, and that's what they're taking advantage of probably throughout all of history, taking advantage of desperate people.
Well, and that also turns into I have the money, so I have the power to make it look like all the desperate and poor people are the ones taking all the money, when really it's me.
Or they're so violent, why are these people so crazy and like hurting each other? It's like, we didn't do that. These people are, degenerates.
Yeah, exactly.
God, they're animals.
Because they're fucking broke because you have all the fucking money, man.
Yeah, it's easy to frame it that way. It's pretty clever.
Yeah. I don't know why I passed it over there. But yeah, okay. So I'm going to keep that from getting too deep.
Yeah, check out War and Peace by John Steinbeck. He's a Russian author from 1860.
And you should definitely check out Snow Day by Tolstoy. It's a great book about kids in high school that get a snow day and they all fall in love with each other. It's written by Tolstoy.
Tolstoy, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is it?
They made a movie about it too.
Oh.
Yeah, Snow Day. It's a really good one.
Huh.
Yeah, a really good movie.
Does that have Harry Potter in it?
No, but close.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Kid kind of looks like Harry Potter a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like great. There's like a lot of pop punk music and kids
cool.
like throw snowballs at each other and stuff, and they get a day off of school because it's snowing, and Tolstoy wrote the whole thing.
Did he write the music as well?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Whole thing.
Oh, that's cool.
He directed the film, too.
Wow. Oh, he did everything.
Yeah, he did it all, man. He's an impressive guy.
Now I understand why people are like, oh, Tolstoy this, Tolstoy that. You know?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, he wrote Snow Day, so who would question Tolstoy, you know?
I didn't know that. I'm learning a lot tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
Wow.
Yeah, so, I mean, I feel like we got some good notes here so far.
Yeah, pretty good.
There's one more thing on the docket I'd really like to touch on a little bit.
Oh, yeah? What do you want to talk about?
The Czechoslovakian limbo champion.
Oh, yeah, the championship finalist from Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
Yeah, the young woman. You said you were doing a bunch of research into her life, and I've read a little bit about it too. Maybe we can just kind of briefly go through it for the people who aren't aware of this. It's a really interesting story.
Yeah, so her name was Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
And her last name, I'm going to be honest, is a little bit hard for me to say. So I don't want to embarrass myself here.
Yeah,
We're just going to call her Hannah.
Hannah, yeah.
For the sake of this story. So Hannah was born in a town in Czechoslovakia, northern Czechoslovakia. You know, I apologize. I can't pronounce the name of the town either.
Yeah.
But
it's a small town too. A lot of
small village in northern Czechoslovakia.
Mm-hmm.
And her father was actually kind of a local political figure a little bit.
Yeah, he was a little bit famous for a second.
Yeah, I mean, he never actually ran for office or anything per se.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say his words held a lot of water. He held a lot of influence.
Right.
Throughout his time within this community. And Hannah was the youngest of 3 girls.
Mm-hmm.
And her father, you know, he always was right there and would ask them every single morning, what do you want to do with your life?
Right. Just trying to motivate them a little bit, think about the future.
So excuse me.
Pardon you.
But anyway, he would ask them this every single day. And to his surprise, the youngest of his 3 daughters, Hannah, was the first one to tell him what she wanted to do.
She knew right away.
I'm going to go for the Czechoslovakian limbo championships. I want to be a Czechoslovakian limbo champion.
And it's funny because at the time she said that, she was what, like 4 or 5?
Yeah,
she was
4 or 5.
Very young to be thinking that far in the future. But it's also worth noting that she was pretty short at the time. So when she did some limbo stuff around the house, it was like, oh, I'm really good at this. You know, it was kind of like a cute thing. Like, oh yeah, you could be a championship finalist someday, and maybe you'll win the thing. And her dad was very encouraging.
But she wanted to dominate the competition.
He didn't realize how dedicated she was at such a young age to this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they were in over their heads a little bit, right? So what does her father do? He does the good thing any father would do. He takes the capital he has set aside because, you know, through his influence in the community, he had a lot of advisory deals and a lot of relationships in there that gave his family a comfortable living. Like Hannah was never found wanting for anything while she was growing up.
Weren't super wealthy, but certainly they were doing pretty well.
Yeah, they got what they want for Christmas.
Yeah.
We'll just say it that way. So he took everything that he had set aside, and he put her in limbo champion school.
Right.
And it was kind of weird that they called it limbo champion school. But the thing is, in Czechoslovakia, you have to understand this about Czechoslovakia, is that, you know, limbo is like a national sport there, you know? Like in America.
Honor,
in America, you have the National Basketball Association. You have the NFL. You know, everybody strives to be an athlete. We have entire college programs that are built around funding kids to get to those leagues so they can be professional athletes, you know?
Yeah, that's...
In Czechoslovakia, they have the same infrastructure for limbo champions.
It's a huge deal. It's televised. It's like a weekly thing. People actually go and watch these things.
Yeah, exactly. And as a byproduct of that, like the Czechoslovakian athletes that do limbo, they're unbeatable.
Oh, the way that they can bend?
They're trained from a young age.
It's unreal. I don't think you can learn to bend your spine like that.
There's no way you can get around that.
Yeah.
You know?
You start like 3 or 4.
Exactly.
If not 2.
Exactly. Just like Hana.
Yeah.
But Hana immediately gets recognized by some bigger, higher up talent.
Yeah, she clearly had what it took.
She clearly had what it took, even at a young age. They knew. So let's fast forward a little bit.
Yeah. So that's
she
younger.
trains, she competes, she wins all kinds of medals as like a little kid.
Her whole childhood's spent what she was doing, like 100 hours a week.
Exactly.
Training, doing competitions and things.
Up out of bed at 4 a.m.
Yeah, the diet, everything, it's very strict.
And then she would be done exercising by 4 a.m. the next morning. She was just so on point. She was so strong.
There's nothing more she wanted in life was to be that.
Well, and let's fast forward a little bit, because when she was 13 years old, she gets a major rod in the works right there. It's like, that's the age where her mom passes away.
Right.
She lost her mom.
Yep.
She fell into a deep depression.
Yeah, I mean, first you're a teenager, right? And that's hard enough, but then
exactly.
Then you lose your mom, and
exactly.
It's like,
well, and at the time, her father had just come back from a pretty serious back surgery. It was like a hernia. Or I can't remember exactly what he was going through, but he had all kinds of pain pills just sitting around the house. Right. So that's when she developed an addictive issue.
Yeah, and then there's some controversy over that from what I've read, but he was obviously taking the pills. He was addicted himself. To them, and also alcohol. So he kind of had his own little spiral going on there, but she was sneaking some pills also. Yeah. Because she was practicing so hard. I mean, she was also in pain. I think she was like,
it's also kind of following her father's example.
Yeah. Learned behavior. Yep.
Sure. Exactly. Because I mean, he was going through a tough time. She was going through a tough time. Her 2 older sisters, had already left the house, so it was basically just her and dad. Yeah. So you got to imagine it's got to be a pretty tough time going on for her, and that's when her performances started to falter a little bit.
Yeah, understandably.
And that was when we came to the major crux, that big competition in '92. You remember that?
Yeah, I think most people would be familiar with that one, because that was televised in America too.
And sadly, that's probably the thing she's most known for.
Yeah, it is a shame people aren't really aware of even all the championships that she won before as a youth.
How successful of an athlete she actually was.
Right. She was number 1 in all of Czechoslovakia.
But yeah, I mean, but for the listener that doesn't know, I mean, in '92, she was right there at the front. She was, I think, in the 4th round of the competition.
Yep.
The bar had gotten to an incredibly low level. I mean, we're talking about probably 2.5 feet, which is usually something that's
the cutoff. Yeah,
that's just easy for her.
Right. Nobody else can really do that.
Exactly. That's where she usually wins the competition. So she's right here. She's in the final 3, athletes here, and all she has to do is get under this bar, which she's gone under before, no problem.
Sure.
And she can win the entire competition. But suddenly she leans back. She does the thing that a limbo champion is supposed to do, bends every inch of the way that you think she's supposed to bend.
Right.
And she immediately starts projectile vomiting, just toward the ceiling.
Yeah.
But obviously in this situation, gravity is going to be working against her, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where she starts choking.
Right.
And she falls to the ground, obviously disqualifying her from the competition. And that's when the ER shows up, and they need to resuscitate her right there in front of the crowd. She was able to stand up. The doctors took her to, the emergency room and everything like that. They looked her over, and she was in fine health. But the obvious problem here was that she was pretty strung out.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So she lost all her sponsors right there, right?
Yeah, super dark time for her.
Yeah. And it got even worse after that, By the time she was 19, she was on the streets,
Yep.
just looking for heroin, kind of
Yep.
any little fix that she can get.
Yeah.
And her father wasn't there. You know, he was going through the same issues, but
Yeah.
he had a prescription for pills.
Yeah.
Nobody
It's-
thought he had a problem. He just sat at home,
Yep.
did his pills, and watched TV all day. You know, so it was broken. It was a very sad situation.
Yeah. Terrible.
But yeah, you know, so when it came down to it, like she actually ended up turning around. When she turned 20, she got a job as a waitress,
Mm-hmm.
and she started saving her money. She got off of the drugs. She was actually able to do a full recovery.
Yeah. Got back into.
Yeah.
Started getting back into training again.
And she reunited with her sisters.
Yep.
Yeah. And that was a really good kind of turn for her. And then came the issue of her dad.
Right. Yeah.
Because he was basically still down the rabbit hole, right?
Well, I mean, I think he kind of had plateaued there with his abuse issues, but then he got that diagnosis from the doctor about the cancer,
Yeah.
and you know, that's like a blow that he just wasn't. I don't think anybody was expecting that at that point. It was just
Yeah.
like, oh, now I've got cancer too,
Yeah.
and of course his substance abuse came into the light as well.
Yeah.
Became a thing. He lost everything. He lost his house.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
everything
he
he had.
stopped. He stopped making the payments. He stopped
Yep.
basically doing anything because he was basically just a broken man.
Yep.
But I'm a believer that his cancer diagnosis was actually kind of what saved his life,
Interesting. Okay.
because he didn't do what most people that gotten diagnosed with cancer would do. Just kind of roll over. You feel sorry for yourself because you're gonna die anyway.
Right.
That's when he started living.
Kind of shook him up a little bit.
You know,
Yeah.
he started getting into athletics himself.
Mhm.
You know, he joined a local tennis league.
Yep.
He sucked at first, but he stuck with it a couple of years, and all the while he had this cancer diagnosis hanging over his head, and he really turned it around, you know.
Yeah. Kind of woke him up a little bit.
And at this point, he hadn't talked to Hannah in years, you know. But they finally got back in touch, right?
Yeah.
And this is at a point where Hannah was just like, she was just kind of working, trying to do the right thing. She wasn't really being a limbo champ. She wasn't getting into her athletics, you know.
That's right. And then he I can't remember how they kind of reconnected there, but she helped him out to find a place to live.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if maybe he lived with her for a little while too, and then
I think they did.
she got him his own place, and then he offered to be her coach. He joined forces with her to help
Yeah.
her to actually go to the championship. What was it? It must have been '96 then at that point.
Yeah.
So they were training for this, and it was going to be like the big one, you know, the world championship.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, leading up to this championship, they were just working together so hard every single day.
Right.
Just nose to the grindstone. But they still have this cancer diagnosis hanging over.
Right. At least they're off the pills.
Yeah.
You know, they're both like living
Yeah.
straight lives.
They're off of the pills. But then here's the major heartbreaker of the story right here.
Yeah.
Hannah is on her way to the competition.
Mm-hmm.
This is her major comeback.
Yeah. this
She's
is
done it. She's done a couple of competitions, and she's actually won a few, you know, like not just the youth competitions that she won back. This is like, she's in grown-up competition. She is actually in the running
Yeah, she's got a chance.
to win the Czechoslovakian championships.
And
right?
she's been through so much, you know, it gives her a lot of strength.
Yeah, exactly. And she's walking there with the most esteem in her head and just like the most fortitude she ever felt in her entire life. She's so confident going into this competition. And on the way there, she gets a call. And it's her oldest sister.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, Dad just died.
Oh, yep.
She lost her father right before the competition.
Yep.
It breaks her heart.
Yeah.
She can't function anymore. She's not going to go compete at the Czechoslovakian championships.
Yeah, how could you?
How could you?
Yeah.
You know? So what does she do? She walked into a bar. She got disqualified immediately.
That's right. made about 20 minutes there. Every time you said, so what'd she do?
Well, we'll have to save this.
Yeah.
Because we'll at least have to just cut out that one piece.
I think we'll just keep doing it and then we'll post the best one.
We'll get the best one, the best version of it.
There was some other like legal disputes I remember we discussed.
Yeah. Well, like we skipped over, like she didn't go to AA ever. She just had drug problems as a youth, and she kind of pulled herself out of it, you know?
Yeah, and her sister was cheating on
Yeah, we didn't talk about her sisters at all.
her boyfriend or something. I can't remember what.
And I love all the words that I couldn't come up with were I can't pronounce that word.
Pretty good.
But look, man, that's an hour.
We made it to an hour. Damn.
Yeah, we got an hour.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
That's good because I got to pee. We should get little buckets down here. So we can just pee.
We just pee and keep podcasting.
It's like DJs.
But I think I'm good.
Yeah, I was pretty
I'm pretty
good.
satisfied. We touched on a lot of subjects there.
Yeah, we made it. The time really flies there.
Yeah. No, that came out better than I thought it would because
Yeah.
we had no plan at all. Nothing. Okay, well, here's a little outro. Thanks for listening to Joe and Lamar's podcast.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening to Krusty Craig and the Crab Rangoons.
That's right. Billy Bullshit in the back up front.
Billy Bullshit in the back up front. Avant Aardvarks.
Thanks for listening to Muffled Moms, brought to you by Burgerville.
God is dancing inside of you.
God is dancing inside of you.
Thanks for listening to the Muffled Moms, brought to you by Burgerville. Text code Joe Lamar 20 for 20% off of Burgerville. Text code Joe Lamar 20 to make Burgerville affordable.
Well, check it. We'll about do these once a week, so we'll see you in about a week, or
we'll get a couple more sods.
We'll get a couple more. We're gonna go live here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Check it out.
All right.